My twin brother Sam was a terrible person. When we were kids, he seemed like my best friend. Our twin bond was strong. I was too young to realize how manipulative and cruel he was. The way he'd break things and blame me for them, steal my toys and then refuse to give them back, stuff like that. It wasn't until we were teenagers that I finally realized how toxic he was. I had just gotten suspended from school for a prank he did, and rather than tell the truth, he laughed in my face. I stopped talking to him after that, and when we graduated and went to different colleges, I decided to cut him out of my life completely. It was a tough decision. Even though I couldn't stand him, we still had a twin connection that would never go away. We weren't identical, thank God, but we still shared all the same genes. I'm 23 now. Last year, when I had just graduated college and moved back to my hometown, I decided to contact Sam and see if he had changed. We met up for dinner, and he seemed like a completely different person. He was kind to our waitress. He asked me real questions about my life and actually listened to my answers. He acted a lot humbler than I remembered. During the conversation, he told me about this girl he was seeing. Her name was Joy, and she seemed like a great influence on him. I was really happy for them both. I suggested we go out on a double date sometime soon. Once I got up the nerve to ask out my very hot neighbor. I know it sounds minor, but that conversation really meant a lot to me. I was bonding with my twin again. We were talking about our lives and setting up plans for the future. No manipulation, just two brothers supporting each other. So the next day, I got up the nerve to go next door and introduce myself to my neighbor. I was shocked when I found out her name was Joy too. What a coincidence. She wasn't dating anyone, so I knew she wasn't the same person. We really hit it off and agreed to meet up for drinks that night. If everything went well, Sam and I would have our double date pretty soon. Joy and I had a great time and decided to see each other again. One thing led to another, and by the next week, we were officially dating. I could already tell she was different from my past girlfriends. She was the one. On the weekend, Sam came over to my place to hang out and have dinner. Everything was perfect. I casually mentioned that I was ready for a double date if he was. I wanted to introduce him to my Joy. He seemed surprised that we were both dating someone with the same name. Can I see your picture? I pulled up a photo of me and Joy on the beach. I didn't want him to scroll through my gallery though because I had some racy pictures in there. He looked at the picture and smiled. She's absolutely beautiful, just as pretty as my girlfriend. I was surprised and genuinely impressed that my brother wasn't being competitive with me. The old Sam would have said that his girlfriend was 1,000 times hotter than mine. I asked if he could show me a picture too, but he said he didn't have any good ones on his phone. Then he changed the subject. For the next few hours, we hung out like best friends. It was wonderful. Eventually, I went to the bathroom while he stayed on the couch watching a movie. I was only gone for 3 minutes. When I came back, he acted a little colder. He said he just got a text from someone and had to run off. He hugged me goodbye and left. It was a pretty abrupt end to our evening, but I didn't think much of it. The next morning, I woke up to angry pounding on my front door. Joy was on my porch, and she looked furious. I let her in and asked what was wrong.
How could you? I thought I could trust you.
I tried to hug her, but she pushed me away. She pounded against my chest, crying and screaming that she was going to sue me for everything I had. She left before I could even find out what was going on. I went on my phone and saw dozens of messages from Joy and her family accusing me of ruining her life and demanding I take down her photos. Thankfully, one of them sent a link. I clicked on it and saw an image of Joy in my bedroom. That's when I knew. Last night, in the time it took me to go to the bathroom, Sam had gotten into my phone, found private pictures of my girlfriend, and posted them online. Of course she thought I'd done it. I called Sam right away.
Hey bro, having problems with your girlfriend?
His voice made my skin crawl. He sounded so devious, so proud of himself. I wanted to scream, but the only thing I managed to say was a single word.
Why? Whatever are you talking about, bro? You sound upset. Take down the photo, Sam!
He hung up without saying anything. I spent the next few minutes overcome with anger, throwing things and screaming out all my frustrations. What was I going to do? How could I fix things with Joy? I took a shower to calm down, and when I checked my phone again, the photos were gone. Now that I felt a bit more clarity, I walked to Joy's house to explain everything. She didn't want to answer the door at first. I calmly told her that my brother had stolen her photos. She then let me inside. I explained the situation, telling her some of the cruel things Sam had done to me in the past so she could see what kind of person he was. Then I showed her a picture of him. Her face went blank. Oh God, that's the creep who won't leave me alone. We went on one date 2 months ago and it was awful. So my girlfriend and Sam's girlfriend were the same person. I don't know if Sam genuinely thought they were dating or if he just lied to me and inflated their relationship to feel better about himself. Either way, he was crazy. But at least Joy believed me. She wasn't mad at me anymore, but she was absolutely furious at Sam. What are we gonna do to him? I never thought of that before, giving my brother a taste of his own medicine. I didn't think like him. I wasn't a vengeful person, but right now I had to be. Joy asked me if I had any incriminating photos of Sam we could post, but I didn't, and even if I did, that didn't seem like it would be strong enough. We needed to do something that would stop him from messing with me ever again. Then I thought of something. Without telling Joy what I was doing, I dialed Sam's number. Yeah? What do you want? I pretended to sound frantic and in pain.
Please, Sam, you have to tell her the truth. She's gone crazy. She stabbed me. You have to tell her I didn't post those photos. Oh God, she has a gun!
Joy knew exactly what I was doing. She grabbed a thick book off the table and dropped it on the floor. Sam, I'll never forgive you.
No, please don't be dead!
I guess he wasn't a complete psychopath. He sounded horrified. Then Joy took the phone and deepened her voice. I'm coming after you next. I know where you live. She hung up on him. I guess Sam called the police right afterward. He said that Joy murdered me, and the cops arrived to check on us. He was there with them. Hi, Sam. Why do you look so surprised? They arrested him for harassment, as well as sharing explicit material and filing a false police report. Legally, he got off easy, but since Joy filmed his absolute freakout during the arrest, everyone could finally see what a sad, crazy man he really was. I haven't seen him since.
I had a hard time in college. I didn't get any scholarships, and I wasn't rich like a lot of my classmates. I had to work 2 jobs in addition to all my classes. Most of my professors were pretty great, though. They knew my situation and gave me extensions when I needed them. Plus, they weren't too upset if I dozed off in class after working all night. The only person I had an issue with was my history teacher, Professor Williams. Because it was a small college, there wasn't a lot of teachers to choose from. I had to take 4 of his classes, and each time he treated me like dirt. He graded my papers more harshly than anyone else's. He chose to call on me whenever he knew I didn't know the answer. Instead of calling me by my name, he just called me Hillbilly for 4 freaking years. When I confronted him between classes sophomore year, he straight up told me that he was harder on me because he wanted me to excel. He wanted to push me to my limits. I knew that was BS. The real reason was that he was an elitist. He saw me as the poor kid who wasn't supposed to be there, and he wanted to push me until I dropped out. I'd seen him do it to a few other low-income students at the school. There was this one guy in my dorm, Terry something, great guy, full of enthusiasm. He wanted to become a doctor. First semester he was happy, acing all of his classes. Then he had Professor Williams, and he lost all motivation. He gave up on his dreams of becoming a doctor and dropped out at the end of the school year. Well, I didn't let that happen to me. I stuck it out and graduated with reasonably good grades. Never let Professor Williams strip me of my confidence. And now, 2 years after graduating, I owned my own company with a staff of 12. I was making way more than Professor Williams ever had. I decided to track him down. I went back to my university to receive an award for the Alumni Association. It was an amazing moment, and all my former professors were there to congratulate me. Professor Williams was the only one who didn't bother to show up. I figured he didn't want to admit that he was wrong about me. I know this sounds petty, but I needed to talk to him face to face, to show him my award, see his expression, and to finally get over all of the trauma. I got his address from another professor who was glad to help. She said he was at home drinking by himself. That's what he did most nights. So I got in my car, feeling pretty good about myself, and then drove to the address. He lived in a part of town that I didn't really know, so I followed my GPS. I got to a winding road with no lights. Everything was dark, and I had my high beams on because there was no other cars in sight. And that's when I saw a shape dart right in front of me. It happened so fast, I didn't have time to swerve. My car hit something. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. Whatever I hit thumped against my hood and flew off to the side of the road. I had to stop and catch my breath. I didn't see what it was, but I knew it was a person. I had just hit someone, and maybe just killed someone. I kept my headlights on and stepped out of the car. Hello? I saw a crumpled body lying at the edge of the asphalt. I knew it was a man in brown clothes. I knew his legs were twisted in unnatural angles, but I also knew that he was still alive. I could see his stomach rise and fall as he breathed. I should have called 911 right away, but I wasn't thinking straight. I crouched next to the man to get a better look. That's when I saw a large green disc clutched in his arms. It was a medium-sized turtle. The guy had wandered into the road to save a turtle. How could he not have seen my high beams coming straight at him? The turtle's little legs were wiggling around. He was totally fine from the accident. Then I looked closer at the man's face, and I went numb. It wasn't just a stranger I hit. Oh my God. And in that moment, I didn't feel any guilt for hurting or possibly even killing my professor. If it were anyone else, I would be hyperventilating right now. What I felt in the moment was panic. I would get arrested. People would think that I did this on purpose, that I had chosen to run him over. He looked up at me, barely conscious, and mumbling out a single word. Hillbilly? I pulled out my phone to call 911, thinking that if the professor died, he'd finally get what he wanted, to ruin my life. But before I dialed, I took a second to think. I wasn't going to get in trouble for this. I wasn't speeding. The tire marks proved that. Plus, he was in the middle of a dark road, as well as drunk. Even through the stench of blood, I could smell the liquor on him. Everyone could see that this was an accident. And then I had another thought, a darker thought. The longer I waited to call an ambulance, the less likely he would survive. I'm not a bad person, but my hatred for this man was strong enough to put me in a really dark place. Oh God. By then, the turtle had wriggled out of his arms and walked back across the road. I stood near his body, thinking about what to do. Should I let him die? I almost did. But in the end, I didn't have it in me. I'd survived 4 years of this man's torment, and I wasn't going to let him turn me into a murderer. I called 911. A little bit later, an ambulance came. The professor's injuries were severe, but it looked like they arrived in time. In a way, I was relieved, but another part of me wishes that I just waited a little bit longer. Then the paramedics came out of the ambulance. I didn't recognize him at first, but once I saw how he reacted to seeing the professor's body, I knew exactly who it was. Terry, the failed doctor whose life was ruined because of Professor Williams. I guess he stayed in town and became an EMT. As he loaded the professor onto the stretcher, we shared a long, meaningful look. I think he smirked a little, but neither of us said anything. I watched the ambulance drive away. It was going very, very slowly, almost intentionally slowly. I didn't have the nerve to let Professor Williams die, but I guess Terry may have. When they reached the hospital, it was already too late. So yeah, I never got to show the professor my award, so I brought it to his funeral.
I remember the exact moment I logged into The Sims that summer after college. It was June 2012, and I just graduated with a culinary degree from a state school in Texas, feeling like the world was this big shiny oyster waiting for me to shuck it. But reality hit quick. Student loans piling up, no job prospects beyond flipping burgers at some chain. So, I escaped into the game, building virtual lives that were way better than my own. That's where I met Henry. Or at least, that's what he called himself online. Henry's avatar was this ripped dude with a mansion, exotic cars, and a pool that could have hosted the Olympics. We started chatting in a custom server, trading tips on how to max out skills and cheat the system. Dude, you gotta sell those rare artifacts on the black market forums. He messaged me one night. I made enough to build my real-life rig, a beast with dual GPUs and water cooling. I was hooked. He sent pics of his setup, this glowing tower that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie. Then came the stories, how he turned in-game hustles into real-life cash, enough to fund rock climbing trips with his girlfriend. He shared photos, and holy moly, she was hot. She's a badass, and I'm head chef at this upscale spot downtown. You said you're a chef too? We could use a guy like you, he typed. I laughed it off at first, but the more we talked, the more I idolized him. He was everything I wasn't. Confident, adventurous, living large. We'd voice chat for hours, him bragging about whipping up gourmet fusion dishes while I slaved over ramen in my crappy apartment. Man, after you graduate, come up here to Seattle, he said one evening, his voice crackling through my headset. I can hook you up with a manager gig at my restaurant. Starting pay is solid, like $50K plus tips. Just say the word. Graduation came and went, and I was still jobless, crashing on my buddy's couch. Henry's offer echoed in my head. You serious? Dead serious, bro. Pack your shit and drive up. I'll sort out the details, he replied. That was it. No resume, no interview, just blind faith in this online bromance. I pawned my old laptop, my TV, even my chef's knives for quick cash. I loaded up my car with what was left. Clothes, a sleeping bag, and dreams of starting fresh. The drive took 7 brutal days, endless highways through deserts and mountains, blasting podcasts to stay awake. I texted Henry updates. Just crossing to Colorado, halfway there. He'd reply with thumbs up emojis and promises of epic nights out. An hour from Seattle, my phone rang. Hey man, bad news. The manager spot fell through. Owner hired his nephew or some shit. You shouldn't come. My heart dropped. What? I'm almost there, dude. Like, literally an hour out. Silence. Then. Alright, fuck it. Come anyway. Crash with us till you sort something. I pulled up to this rundown complex in a sketchy part of town. Peeling paint, trash bags piled by the dumpsters. Section 8 housing, I later learned. Henry greeted me at the door, looking nothing like his photos. Skinny, unkempt beard, eyes bloodshot. Bro, you made it! He pulled me into a bro hug. Inside, a 1-bedroom crammed with 4 other people. 2 guys on the couch playing Xbox. A girl in the kitchen doing, I can't even describe it here. 3 cats prowled around, shedding fur everywhere. I'm allergic as hell. My eyes started watering immediately. Then Mia emerged from the bedroom, gorgeous. Hi, I'm Mia. Henry's told me all about you, she said softly, shaking my hand. We shot the shit that first night, but it turned fast. Pills appeared. Want in? Henry asked, popping a couple. Nah, I'm good, man, I muttered, nursing a beer. The party raged till dawn, music blasting, people laughing hysterically at nothing. I crashed on the floor, sneezing from the cats, wondering what the hell I'd done. Day 2, I hit the pavement. Gotta find work, I told Henry as I headed out. Good luck, man. I landed a dishwasher gig at a greasy diner, minimum wage, graveyard shifts. It sucked, but it was survival. Back at the apartment, tension simmered. Henry and Mia argued constantly, voices rising through thin walls.
You're such a bitch!
He'd snap, she'd cry, then they'd make up like nothing happened. By day 3, Henry cornered me in the kitchen. Hey, we're all moving out soon, to a better place. 2 bedrooms, no more crowding. You in? Where? I asked, skeptical. Subsidized spot downtown. Mia's got connections through her job. Mia worked retail from what I gathered, but I didn't press. We scraped together deposits over the next weeks. Me from my shit job, them from God knows where. Week 3, we moved into this slightly less shitty apartment. Fresh paint, actual space. First night, we celebrated with pizza and beer. To new beginnings, Henry toasted, clinking bottles. But midnight hit, and it exploded. I heard shouting from their room.
You filthy woman!
Henry yelled, then thuds, fists on flesh. Mia screamed. I burst in. Henry had her pinned, face red, swinging. The cat scattered.
Stop! What the hell, man?
He turned, wild-eyed.
Mind your business!
Mia sobbed, bruises blooming on her arms. Please just go, she whispered to me. I backed out, heart pounding. That night haunted me, her cries echoing in my dreams. It happened again a week later, louder, more vicious, glass shattered.
You're worthless! You worthless! You're worthless!
Domestic violence in progress. He's beating her bad, I told the dispatcher. Cops arrived quick, 2 officers, badges gleaming. What's going on? One asked. Henry and Mia suddenly united. Nothing, officer. Just a lover's quarrel. He's overreacting, our friend here. Mia forced a smile. They pointed at me. He's the problem, causing drama. The cops eyed me suspiciously. Sir, you need to leave, they said, escorting me out. There I was, 2 a.m., on the curb 1,700 miles from Texas. No keys, no wallet, left inside in the rush. Homeless, broke, allergic sneezes racking my body. Rain started, Seattle's infamous drizzle turning to a downpour. I huddled under an awning, phone dying, scrolling contacts. Who to call? Family? They'd say I told you so. A cab passed. I flagged it with my last 20. Nearest motel, I said. The driver grunted. Rough night, huh? You have no idea. Checked into a flea bag place, stained sheets, roaches skittering. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying it all. How had I been so stupid, chasing some online fantasy, ignoring red flags? But worse was thinking about Mia, trapped with that monster. Should I have fought harder, called social services? Morning came. I pawned my phone for bus fare, hitched rides south. Took days, sleeping in stations, eating vending machine crap. Back in Texas, I crashed with my sister. What happened? She asked, hugging me tight. Long story, but I learned, never trust pixels over people.
I remember the first time I stumbled onto his stream like it was yesterday. It was back in 2022. I was scrolling through Twitch, bored out of my mind, and there he was. Alex, this British guy with a sharp wit and a laugh that could cut through the static. He was playing some indie horror game, jumping at every shadow, and his chat was alive with memes and inside jokes. I lurked for a while, and then tossed in a comment about how he screamed like a cartoon character. He read it out loud, chuckled, and that was it. I was hooked. Over the next few months, I became a regular. I'd chat during breaks, share dumb stories from my shifts, and he started noticing me. "Hey, Emma's in the house," he'd say, and it felt good, you know? Like being part of something. Eventually, he made me a mod, trusted me to keep the trolls at bay. It was flattering. We started DMing on Discord about stream ideas, life stuff. He was funny, charming in that dry UK way, always complaining about the rain in London or his crap job at a tech support call center. By early 2025, things had shifted. We'd moved to Skype for voice calls. Late nights for me, mornings for him. It was easy conversation. Movies, music, venting about relationships. I mentioned my boyfriend, Daniel, a lot. We'd been together for 2 years, living in a tiny apartment near campus. Daniel was solid. Worked construction, made me laugh, supported my crazy schedule. But Alex, he started getting personal. Complimenting my voice. Asking about my day in a way that felt intense. One night in March, I was studying for midterms, sipping coffee at 2 a.m. when he called. "Emma," he said, his voice low and serious. "I need to tell you something. I've fallen for you. Hard. You're the only one who gets me." I froze, staring at my screen. "Alex, that's sweet, but I have a boyfriend. You know that. Daniel and I are serious." He leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "I know, but hear me out. We've talked for 3 years. You're my best friend. More than that. I want to come see you. Meet in person. Prove it's real." My heart pounded. Not in a good way. "No, Alex, that's not happening. I'm flattered, but I have zero interest. You're wasting your time." He smiled, like I was joking. "Come on, Emma. Give it a chance. I'll fly over. Stay in a hotel. No pressure." I laughed it off at first, but he kept pushing. Every call, every message. "My parents think it's romantic. They've given their blessing." It was weird hearing about his folks, like this was some fairy tale. I told him straight up, "Don't come. I have finals, work, Daniel, no time." "It's fine," he replied. "I'll wait. I just need to see you." I blocked him on Discord to make a point, but he found me on Skype again. "Tickets are booked," he messaged one day. "Arriving in Seattle next month." Panic set in. What the hell? I told Daniel everything, showed him the logs. He was pissed, wanted to report it, but Alex hadn't technically threatened anything. "Just ignore him," Daniel said, pulling me close. "If he shows up, we'll deal." April rolled in with cherry blossoms and rain, and sure enough, Alex landed. He texted from the airport. "Here, can't wait to see you." I stared at my phone, debating. Part of me felt guilty. He'd flown across the ocean because of some online crush. But mostly I was annoyed. Entitled much? I had no intention of meeting alone. Finals were brutal. Marketing stats and group projects eating my soul. Work at the fast food joint was non-stop, tourists flooding in for spring. And Daniel? We squeezed in dates when we could, grabbing burgers or hiking in the Cascades. Life was full. Alex was an intrusion. He checked into a budget hotel downtown, messaging daily. "When can we hang? Miss your voice." I caved after a week, but on my terms. Fine, but with friends, group thing. We met at a bar near Pike Place. Me, Daniel, my roommate Sarah, and her boyfriend. Alex showed up in rumpled clothes, looking jet-lagged but excited. "Emma!" He hugged me awkwardly. The night was okay, at first. Beers flowed, stories about his streams. "Remember that time I rage quit Elden Ring?" he said, laughing. Sarah chimed in, "Dude, your screams are legendary." Daniel was polite, but I could see him sizing Alex up. As the evening wore on, Alex cornered me at the bar. "This is great, but can we talk alone? Maybe back at my hotel?" I shook my head. "No, Alex, that's not why you're here." His face darkened. "Why not? I came all this way because I have a boyfriend, and I told you not to come."
Oh.
He sighed. Just for a bit. Watch a movie or something." Daniel overheard, stepped in. "She said no, man. Respect it." Alex backed off. We left soon after. A few days later, he begged again. "One more hangout? Please." I agreed, stupidly, but brought Daniel. We grabbed coffee at a park, neutral ground. Alex was tense from the start. "I thought it'd be just us," he muttered. "Alex, I was clear," I said. "This is it." He exploded then, right there on the bench. "Clear? You led me on for years! Flirting in chat, modding my stream, Skyping till dawn, and now I fly over, spend 3 weeks in this shithole hotel, waiting like a dog, and you bring him?" He jabbed a finger toward Daniel. Daniel stood up. "Watch it." Alex ignored him, eyes on me. "I want time alone. In my room. You owe me that." "Owe you? For what? Invading my life?" "For everything. I love you, Emma. I'd do anything. Even dispose of him. Kill him if I have to. Make you see we're meant to be." My blood ran cold. Daniel grabbed my arm. "We're leaving. Now." We walked away, hearts racing. I called the police from the car, reported the threat. They said without proof it was hard, but advised a restraining order if he persisted. Alex messaged that night. "You after all I did." Then nothing. Blocked on everything. He flew back to the UK 2 days later. I know because a mutual from his stream told me. That experience, it taught me strength. Us women in the States, we juggle so much. Careers, relationships, creeps. But we rise. I did. And if you're watching this, know that you're not alone. Say no loud. Stand firm. The world's full of Alexes, but it's ours to navigate. Back in 2018, I was dropping into Fortnite, maining a sweaty skin with a pickaxe I'd grinded V-Bucks for. My squad was tight, about 10 of us, spread across the Midwest and the East Coast, but we clicked like we'd been building forts together forever. Voice chat nights ran long, yelling about loot drops or roasting each other's builds. That's where I met Jake and Sarah. Jake was the aggro player, always rushing with a shotgun, his booming laugh cutting through Discord. "Cover me, dumbass!" he'd bark when we dove into tilted towers. Sarah was the strategist, calling out rotations and sniping from a bush, her voice calm but sharp. "Don't choke now, rookie," she'd tease when I fumbled a 1v1, and I'd fire back, "Save your medkits for the pros, babe." We played together for 3 years straight. Offline meetups happened naturally. First a gaming expo in Chicago, then a LAN party in Milwaukee. Jake and Sarah rolled in from Kansas City. We hugged like we'd squatted up forever, split a 6-pack of IPAs, and by the weekend's end, it felt like family. Jake rambled about his long-haul trucking, how the miles paid, but left him empty. Sarah vented about wrangling their 2 kids, Ellie 5 and Max 3, while he was gone for weeks. "It's like solo queuing with a ghost teammate," she'd sigh over drinks. I nodded, feeling the weight of my own dead-end life in Cleveland, where Rust Belt winters ate your soul. One sweaty drop into Retail Row, after Jake ate a rocket launcher to the face, he threw out the idea. "Yo, man, why are you still in that frozen dump? Sarah says we got room in KC. Basement's open. Move out. Crash with us." I laughed it off. What? So I can carry your ass in duos while you're hauling freight? But Sarah jumped in, her voice warm through the headset. For real, dude. Jake's gone half the time. You'd help with the kids. Keep me sane. Plus, Kansas City's got barbecue that doesn't suck. Well, I had nothing holding me. A warehouse job stacking boxes for pennies. Parents gone. No girl since college. 2 weeks later, I U-hauled my life west. Heart racing like I just landed a victory royale. Sarah met me at the door. Ellie on her hip, Max yanking her shorts. Welcome to the squad, she said, hugging me tight enough I caught her vanilla shampoo. Jake clapped my back, grinning. Basement's yours, bro. Got a mini fridge for your monster cans. The setup was solid. Futon, desk for my rig, a window barely cracking the dirt. That first night, we grilled burgers, kids chasing fireflies, and I felt anchored, like I'd found a new landing zone. But job hunting in KC was brutal. Endless applications to warehouses, call centers, anything quote-unquote logistics. Weeks blurred. Mornings on Indeed, afternoons wrangling Ellie and Max while Sarah ran to her part-time salon gig. You're a lifesaver, she'd say, ruffling my hair as she bolted out. Ellie's already calling you Uncle Sniper. I'd heard the kids into naps, their sticky hands on my shirt, demanding stories about the Battle Bus game. Jake's road trips stretched. 5 days to Denver, 10 to Dallas. When he rolled in, smelling of diesel and diner coffee, we'd crack PBRs and squat up till our eyes burned. Miss this shit, he'd grunt, clinking bottles. But Sarah, she lingered. Mornings in the kitchen, pouring coffee too close. Black, 2 sugars, right? She'd murmur, fingers grazing mine. Then came the setups. First was casual. Her coworker Lisa, a fiery redhead from the nail station. Squat up, my treat, Sarah insisted over tacos, kids asleep. Lisa's single, loves that gamer vibe you got. Come on, get out there. I went, awkward in a Target button-down. Lisa was cool, laughed at my Fortnite emote impressions, split a pitcher of margaritas, but it fizzled after 2 dates. Sarah didn't quit. New plan, she said one afternoon, folding laundry while I built Legos with Max. Jenna and Mia. Jenna's visiting from Minnesota. Blonde, outdoorsy, total bushwookie. Mia's local. Curves for days. Builds like a pro. I choked on my beer. Both? At once? She winked, tossing a sock at me. Why pick? Life's a short drop, Sniper. Let me play wingman. The date was a mess. Barbecue at the lake. Jenna grilling me on crypto while Mia's hands... Sarah watched from the cooler, smirking. Options, right? Her eyes held mine too long when Mia leaned close. Money got tight. My savings bled out on gas and groceries that I chipped in for, but Sarah brushed it off. Squad sticks together, she'd say, squeezing my shoulder as we tag-teamed bedtime. Nights Jake was gone, she'd knock on my door after the kids crashed. Can't sleep, she'd whisper, slipping in with popcorn or a joint. We'd talk for hours, her dreams of a tattoo parlor, my regrets from Cleveland. The air got heavy, her laugh low, foot nudging mine. One muggy night, ceiling fan humming, she sprawled on my futon in shorts that rode up, venting about Jake's distance, his endless routes. Sometimes I wonder if he even sees me, she said, voice breaking. I nodded, throat tight. He'd be blind not to. Her hand hit my knee. Electric. You're sweet. Too sweet for this town. We didn't cross the line, not then. But the room shrank, her scent lingering like a trap. I landed a job, forklift driver at a distribution center, moving Amazon pallets for $18 an hour. Graveyard shift, but it paid. I stashed cash in a coffee can under the futon, eyeing my own place. Helped more around the house, mowed the lawn, fixed the sink, drove Sarah to a doctor's visit when her car died. My hero, she teased, linking arms in the waiting room. Ellie drew me pictures. Life felt close to normal. Then Jake rolled in early. October, leaves falling, air sharp with Midwest chill. I'd just clocked out, wiped, when I heard his Peterbilt rumble in. Downstairs, I crashed on the futon, scrolling Insta till sleep hit. Woke to boots stomping, door flying open. Jake filled the doorway, face red, veins popping. "You piece of shit!" he roared, lunging. I scrambled up, pulse racing. "Jake, what the hell?" Sarah hovered behind, eyes wide, robe clutched. "Baby, it's not..." He cut her off, spinning. "Don't lie! I saw the texts, the late nights. This f***er's after my wife!" I raised my hands. "Man, nothing happened. She's yours. I'd never..." He grabbed my collar, slamming me into the wall. Plaster cracked. "I know your kind. Buddy moves in, eyes my girl. Like that asshole with my ex who banged her in our bed while I was on the road." His breath stank of whiskey, eyes crazed. I knew the story. His high school fiancée, the betrayal that broke him. "Jake, listen!" I gasped, pushing back. "We talked, yeah. She's lonely when you're gone. That's it. Swear on my mom." He laughed, cold. "Lonely? That's your play? Get your shit and go. Now." Sarah stepped up, tears streaming. "Jake, stop. He's family. We invited him." He jabbed a finger at her. "Family? This snake? Pack his crap, Sarah, or I'll torch it." The next hour blurred. Me shoving clothes into duffels, gut churning while they screamed upstairs. "You think I don't see? The looks? The Uncle Sniper crap?" Jake yelled. Sarah's voice broke back. "You're paranoid. He's been good to us, to me. It's the kids," Ellie whimpered. Max wailed. I paused in the kitchen, spotting my coffee can. Empty. $1,000 gone. My PS4 lugged cross country, missing from the shelf. "Guys," I called, voice shaky. "My stuff. The console. The cash." Silence. Then Jake's boots thumped down. "Finders keepers, a**hole. For the trouble." He shoved me out, duffel in my arms. Outside, dawn gray, their garage door rattled up. Sarah stood at the window, mouthing, "Sorry." She didn't stop him. I crashed at a Motel 6, $89 draining my debit. Called a squad mate, some IT guy in St. Louis who wired bus fare. Rode Greyhound east, staring at fields, replaying every late night knock, every touch. Betrayal cut deepest from them. People I trusted like squad mates. I was 24, scraping by in this cramped one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. Living alone in the city always kept me on edge. Pepper spray in my bag, deadbolts checked obsessively. But that sticky September afternoon, I slipped up. I just crushed a 5-mile run along the East River, weaving through joggers and dodging those annoying e-bikes. Sweat was pouring off of me, and I was famished. So, on the way back, I fired up DoorDash and ordered a turkey sub with extra pickles and a kale smoothie. My attempt at balancing the junk with something green. I figured it would beat me home, but nope, traffic or whatever, it was running late. No biggie. I kicked off my sneakers, left the front door unlocked in my haze, stupid, I know, and headed straight for the shower. The hot water was bliss, steaming up the mirror as I soaped up, belting out some old Ariana Grande track to drown out the city noise. Then, out of nowhere, knock, knock, knock. Right on the bathroom door. My stomach dropped. I froze, shampoo suds dripping into my eyes. "Hello?" I called out, voice shaky. Silence. My mind went to the worst places. Intruder? Some perv from the street? I'd read those Reddit threads about women getting followed home. Heart hammering, I grabbed my towel and cracked the door. Empty hallway. But there, on the kitchen counter, was the delivery bag. My order. Inside my apartment. What the actual hell? The front door was still unlocked. This guy had waltzed right in, heard the shower, and decided to knock on the bathroom while I was bathing? I felt sick, like my privacy had been ripped away. I locked the door, finally, and stared at the bag, my appetite gone. The sub was still warm, which somehow made it worse. Then, another knock. This time on the front door. I jumped. "Who is it?" I yelled, trying to sound fierce, but coming out more like a squeak. A muffled voice. "Delivery! Your food's here!" He laughed then, this low, wheezing chuckle that sent chills down my spine, like he was in on some joke I wasn't. I peeked through the peephole. Mid-20s guy, lanky with a greasy ponytail, eyes darting around. I cracked the door, chain on. "I already have it. You left it inside?" He grinned, teeth uneven, leaning in too close. "Yeah, couldn't let your sandwich go cold." Heard the water running. Figured you were occupied." "You came into my house?" I snapped, pulling the door tighter. "Without asking? That's not okay. You scared me half to death." He shrugged, still smiling that off-kilter smile. Door was open. "Called your name. Emily, right?" No answer. "Thought I'd be helpful. People do it all the time. Save the food from thieves or whatever." He scratched his neck, nails dirty, and tilted his head like he was studying me. I felt my skin crawl. "Helpful? I was in the shower. What if I had fallen or anything? You knocked on the bathroom door?" "Yeah, to let you know. Didn't peek or nothing. Scout's honor. You know, you're cute when you're mad, you know?" "Excuse me? That's creepy as hell. You can't just say that. And you can't enter someone's home like that, especially a woman's, alone." He held up his hands, but the grin didn't fade. "Whoa, easy there. Just a compliment. Lighten up." "Gig life's rough. Tips keep me going. 5 stars, pretty please." "I'm reporting this," I said, voice steadier now, anger overriding fear. "Get out of here." "Oh, come on, Emily, don't be like that." He leaned closer, breath sour through the crack. "We could chat sometime. You run a lot? I see girls like you all the time." I slammed the door, locked it, and slid down against it, shaking. Reported him on the app. Entered apartment uninvited. Knocked on bathroom while showering. Made inappropriate comments. The app guys comped the order and said they'd handle it, but I never followed up. Too freaked. Next day, I installed a Ring camera and that auto lock. Started triple checking doors, even on quick errands. Still order food, but with notes. Leave outside. Do not enter. And I tipped the normal ones extra. This story has been loosely based on an experience shared by one of our subscribers. This is what they said. "I live by myself. Earlier today, I went for a run and I placed an order for a juice hoping that it would show up before I got back. It didn't, but no big deal. I figured I'd hop in the shower while waiting. While I'm mid-shower, I suddenly hear a knock on the bathroom door. Instant panic. I throw on clothes as fast as I can and rush out, only to find my delivery sitting there. Turns out I had left my front door unlocked, and the delivery guy had literally stepped inside my apartment and walked straight up to knock on the bathroom door.
I love my boyfriend Tom. He was a nice guy, very affectionate. He brought positive energy into any room he entered. He never took anything too seriously and always lived in the moment. I really liked that about him. But the longer we were together, the more his carefree lifestyle annoyed me. We never went on trips because he was incapable of planning ahead. I had to remind him about birthdays and special occasions because he wouldn't remember and he never checked the calendar. At times I felt like I was his parent instead of his girlfriend. Things came to a head last summer when he convinced me to sign us up for a couples challenge at my office party. I work for a growing tech company, and they do a ton of team building events throughout the year. I personally hate them, but because Tom is always the life of the party, he always makes them fun. My coworkers like him a lot more than me. Every summer, our office spends a day in the mountains for a series of challenges, like tug of war and three-legged races and stuff. In the past, I always sat on the sidelines and watched, but this year, Tom convinced me to sign us up. I had to get special permission from my boss because Tom wasn't an employee. It was kind of a hassle, but Tom insisted that we'd have fun. And on the day we were supposed to go, he completely forgot. He went to visit his brother on a whim. I called him over and over, but he didn't pick up his phone. He forgot to charge it. My boss wouldn't let me back out, so I had to go to the event and do all the two-person games by myself. I came in last place every time. The worst was the three-legged race. Since I was just one person, I had to run across the field on two legs and one hand. I fell right on my face. Anyway, it was awful. And when I got home and asked Tom where he'd been, he didn't even apologize. He acted like it wasn't a big deal at all. It's just some stupid games. I exploded. I screamed at him, unloading all my pent-up frustrations. I don't think I knew how much I was holding back my anger until that moment, when years of grievances came out of me all at once. I don't remember everything I said, but I remember telling him that if he didn't grow up, I'd leave him. He looked like I'd slapped him in the face. He got really teary-eyed and promised me over and over that he'd make things right. He swore he'd be a better boyfriend, and like a total idiot, I believed him. For the next few days, he was really attentive and affectionate. He cooked me breakfast and did all the chores around the house. I didn't know how long this new version of him would last, but I liked it so far. Then I came home late from a pretty grueling work trip. It was already nighttime and Tom was asleep on the couch. I didn't know why. I went straight upstairs to her bedroom, but when I opened the door, I had a full-on panic attack. Before I tell you what I saw, it's important to give a little backstory. I have a crippling phobia of dolls. I run past toy stores just so I don't have to see what's inside. I know it's irrational and embarrassing, but I can't help it. When I was 6 years old, my grandmother surprised me with an antique doll that she used to play with when she was a girl. At the time, I thought it was the most wonderful thing I'd ever seen. It was a blonde baby doll with big blue eyes, like a lot of dolls from the 50s. It had this special feature where you fed it candies and it would pop them out of her diaper. I'd never seen anything like it. Its little mouth moved and everything. What I didn't know at the time was that these dolls were discontinued because they were a safety hazard. Anyway, Grandma sat with me while I fed my new doll little Pebbles. I had so much fun watching its mouth open and close like that. And Grandma was having fun too, because she was passing down one of her cherished childhood memories to me. So I gave her the doll and asked her to feed it some Pebbles. She did. But my grandma had very long hair, and as the doll was swallowing those Pebbles, her hair got caught in its mouth. She screamed, but the doll kept moving its mouth and sucking in more of her hair. I watched in horror as all her hair got yanked off her head. I didn't know that Grandma wore a wig. I don't think I even knew what a wig was back then. To me, it looked like she'd been scalped. I freaked out and hid in the closet, and ever since that moment, I've been terrified of dolls. Tom knew that story. I brought it up a lot, but of course he forgot. So when he decided to surprise me by filling our bedroom with hundreds of knockoff Labubu dolls, with their ugly little eyes staring at me, he thought he was doing something nice. Well, my childhood fear rushed back. The dolls looked like they were moving, even though I knew they weren't. I crumpled to my knees and gasped for air, completely overcome with pure terror. Tom heard my scream and rushed up the stairs toward me. I didn't see him coming, and in my panicked brain, I thought that there were more Labubus coming to get me. I slammed my arms towards him, trying to protect myself from the doll attack. He toppled down the stairs and landed with a crack. I didn't realize what had happened until I saw him lying at the base of the stairs, his ankle twisted to the side. He broke his leg and got a concussion, but he was fine. I went with him to the hospital, but when he regained consciousness, I told him that I never wanted to see him again. I left him there to recover alone, packed up all his stuff, and dropped it off at his brother's house. And I made his brother go into my bedroom and remove all the Labubus before I saw them again. I'm single now, and I like it that way. I could do so much better than Tom. I deserve someone who actually listens to me.
I still remember scrolling through that subreddit one rainy afternoon in Portland. The kind of gray day that makes you crave connection like a shot of espresso. It was nothing too serious, just a place to vent about life and swap stories with strangers. That's where I found George's post. 26 male in LA, looking for someone to trade playlists and existential dread with. Bonus if you like indie folk and bad decisions. His words hooked me right away. I was 24, freshly out of a soul-sucking office job, crashing at my sister's place while I figured out my next move. I replied with a link to my favorite Sufjan Stevens track and a quip about how my dread came with a side of overpriced oat milk lattes. We messaged back and forth for hours that first day. He was funny in that self-deprecating way, talking about his gig as a barista in Silver Lake. How he dropped out of film school because the professors were too busy stroking their own egos to notice mine was deflated. I told him about my love for hiking the Columbia Gorge trails. How I'd once gotten lost for 3 hours chasing a waterfall that turned out to be a mirage. By the end of the week, we were texting every damn day. Good morning memes, late night rants about exes who ghosted harder than Casper. He sent voice notes of him humming along to Bon Iver, his voice all gravelly and warm, like he'd just woken up from a nap in the sun. I started looking forward to those pings more than my morning coffee. After a month, the text turned flirty. You ever think about ditching the rain for some California chaos? He'd write, followed by a photo of him. God, he looked good. I laughed it off at first, but the idea burrowed in. Why not? Portland was starting to feel like a soggy trap. Chaos sounds perfect, I texted back, but only if you promise not to make me regret the train ride. He replied instantly, deal. I'll show you the real LA, the kind that doesn't end up on postcards. So, I booked the ticket. Amtrak from Portland to LA. 30 hours of staring out at blurring landscapes. My stomach a knot of excitement and nerves. I packed light. Jeans, a couple of band tees, that black dress I'd bought on impulse from Urban Outfitters. Told my sister I was meeting a friend. Downplayed it when she raised her eyebrows. It's just an adventure, I'd said. She hugged me tight anyway, slipping a 20 into my pocket like I was still her kid sister heading to prom. The train pulled into Union Station at dusk. George was there, leaning against a pillar in faded Levi's and a threadbare Radiohead tee, scrolling his phone. He looked even better in person, taller than I'd imagined, with those green eyes that crinkled when he spotted me. Holy shit, you made it, he said, pulling me into a hug. His arms were strong around me, and for a second I melted into it, the exhaustion from the ride vanishing. But then he pulled back, rubbing his eyes like he was hung over from hell. Fuck. Sorry, I'm a mess. Partied too hard last night. Didn't crash till 5 a.m. These industry assholes kept buying shots. He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. I brushed it off, blaming the travel fog. No worries. Lead the way, tour guide. We walked a few blocks to his place in Echo Park, the streets buzzing with evening traffic and distant bass from someone's car stereo. He rambled about the neighborhood, the taco trucks, the murals that scream gentrification, but there was an edge to him, like he was forcing the charm. When we got to his house, a sagging Craftsman divided into too many units, he unlocked the gate with a key under a fake rock. "Home sweet," he muttered. His room was 8 by 6.5 feet, tops. Barely enough space for the thin mat on the scuffed hardwood floor. His duffel of clothes shoved in the corner like an afterthought. A single bulb dangled from the ceiling. On the suitcase serving as a nightstand sat a tiny wooden box, crammed with faded ticket stubs and Polaroids. Mementos from a life that felt worlds away from this. "It's cozy," I said, forcing a smile as I dropped my bag. "Yeah, well, rent's a film dreams don't pay the bills." We collapsed onto the mat, his arm draping over me like it belonged there. The nap hit fast, his breathing steady against my neck, the distant hum of the city lulling me under. I woke to him stirring. "Hungry?" he asked. We grabbed ramen at a hole-in-the-wall spot down the block, steam rising from plastic bowls. It was good, spicy miso with extra pork belly. But when the bill came, he fished in his pockets and came up empty. "Shit, I left my wallet at home. You mind spotting me? I'll Venmo you later." I waved it off, sliding my card over. "It's cool. Consider it my LA tax." He grinned, all teeth. "You're a saint. Most girls would have bailed." Back at his place, we sprawled on the mat again, his ancient Bluetooth speaker crooning Fleet Foxes while we waited for the party invite to solidify. "It's gonna be epic," he promised, passing me a warm beer from a mini fridge that hummed like a dying bee. "My buddy's throwing it at his spot in the hills. You'll love the crowd. Musicians, artists, the works." I nodded, sipping slow, my jet lag catching up. His hand found mine, thumb stroking my knuckles. It felt nice, almost normal. By 10, we piled into an Uber with 2 of his friends he'd texted, Jake and Mia. The ride up into the Hollywood Hills was a blur of laughter and inside jokes I didn't get. George's energy shifted the second we arrived at the sprawling mid-century house, lights pulsing through floor-to-ceiling windows, bass thumping like a heartbeat. People spilled out onto the lawn, red Solo cups in hand. Inside, it was crazy. Bodies moving to some remix of Tame Impala. Fairy lights strung like drunken stars. George's friends ditched us immediately, but not before Jake clapped him on the back too hard. "Yo, George, still crashing on that air mattress? When are you gonna level up, man?" Mia snorted, tossing her hair. "Yeah, or at least get a real bed. Can't be humping the floor forever." George's jaw tightened, his laugh forced. "F*** off, you two. Not all of us sold out for Daddy's trust fund." They kept at it as we wove through the crowd, roasts about his starving artist vibe, his string of failed auditions. By the patio doors, he was red-faced, fists clenched. I tugged his sleeve, pulling him aside into a quieter corner. "Hey," I said softly, cupping his cheek. "They're your friends, but they're assholes. Don't let it get to you." He leaned into my touch, eyes glassy. "Yeah, I know. It's just... tonight's supposed to be good, you know? With you here." "Thanks for coming all this way. Means something." "Anytime," I murmured, heart swelling a little. We slipped back in, but he got swept up immediately. Hugs from old acquaintances. Backslaps from guys in ironic mustaches. "Gotta say hi to a few people," he said over his shoulder. "Grab a drink. I'll be right back." That right back stretched into 3 hours. I ended up on the patio with a loose circle of strangers. 2 girls from USC studying screenwriting, A guy named Theo who rolled his own cigarettes and talked about Burning Man like it was the second coming. They were cool, trading stories about bad dates and worse tattoos. But I kept glancing inside, scanning for his messy hair. Nothing. The night cooled, goosebumps prickling my arms under my thin sweater. A girl with blue-streaked hair sidled up during a lull, offering me a joint. "You okay? You look like you got ditched." I forced a laugh. Nah, just people watching. But then another guy, tall with a man bun, leaned in. "Seriously though, you good? Seem kinda lost out here." I shrugged it off, but it stung. Did I look that pathetic? The loner from out of town, nursing a warm seltzer while everyone else blurred into the fun? Finally, I pushed back inside, the crowd a sweaty wall. Elbows jabbed my ribs. Laughter drowned out the music. No sign of George. Had he bailed? Forgotten me? I spotted his roommate, Alex, by the kitchen island pouring shots. "Hey, have you seen George?" I yelled over the din. Alex grimaced, handing me a plastic cup. "Yeah, he's around. Partying like it's his last night on Earth." He paused. "You need something?" "Tell him I'm heading out. Gonna grab a motel. This isn't my scene." Alex nodded, weaving off. He came back 5 minutes later, face dark. "Found him. He's being a total douchebag. Said you're overreacting. Let me walk you back to the house. No way you're dropping cash on a room tonight." The trek down the hills felt endless. Alex was quiet at first, then opened up. George is a good dude, deep down, but he's too much into stuff binges, chasing tail to feel alive. Probably inside right now, buried in some girl's neck or railing lines off the bathroom sink. Sorry you got caught up in it. I swallowed hard, the cool air biting my cheeks. It's fine. I just thought it was more. Alex squeezed my shoulder. You're better than this circus. Trust me. Back at the house, the gate creaked like a bad omen. Thanks for the escort, I said, hugging him quick. Seriously, you're a lifesaver. Anytime. Lock the door behind you. He vanished into the night, leaving me alone. I curled up on George's mat. Sleep came fitful. Dreams tangled with party lights and his laugh. Then, sometime past 3 a.m., the door clicked. Footsteps, heavy and uneven. The mat dipped. Hey, missed you out there. I stiffened, heart slamming. George, stop. I'm not... I don't want this. He froze, and then pulled back just enough to loom over me in the dark. What? Are you serious? You come all the way down here, crash in my bed, and now you're playing nun? What was the point of any of this? You're such a goddamn waste of time. My chest burned, tears pricking hot. Get off me! I hissed, shoving him away. He rolled off with a groan, muttering curses into the pillow. I turned my back, body rigid, the hurt festering like a bruise. Morning light filtered through the grimy blinds, turning everything sickly yellow. George snored, oblivious. I grabbed my bag and slipped out. I bought a ticket home with the last of my cash. Portland welcomed me with drizzle. My sister waiting at the platform with takeout pho and no questions. I crashed for 2 days, binging old rom-coms, letting the ache dull. A month later, his text lit up my phone. Hey, been thinking about you. Rough patch here. Could you spot me $50? Promise I'll pay you back. You are amazing. I stared at it, thumb hovering, then deleted the thread. Blocked him clean.
David was a wonderful husband and a great guy. Everybody loved him. On his birthday, Amara, his wife of 19 years, planned a huge party at their house. He knew about it, but he didn't know that all his friends and family would be there. He woke up to a big breakfast that Amara brought to him in bed. Then he went to the country club to play golf. Amara had insisted that he stay out of the house all day. She didn't want him to see her prepare for his party. He agreed to come back at 6 with his favorite wine. All that day, he got the feeling that tonight was going to be very special. His friends at the club kept giving him little hints. He tried to focus on golf, but he was too excited. Everything was going great until mid-afternoon, when David was alone on the course. A young guy approached him. He looked about 20, just some kid who seemed really out of place at the country club. But when he approached David with a friendly hello, David recognized something in the stranger's eyes. He'd never seen this man before, but he looked familiar. "You don't know who I am, do you? My name's Nick. I'm your son." David was floored. He didn't have any children. He and Amara had always wanted to start a family together, but it had never worked out. Nick explained that his mother was David's ex, the woman he was seeing before he met Amara. David believed him. He remembered the boy's mother, Gia. She was crazy, always accusing him of having affairs and checking in to see where he was. When he broke up with her, she absolutely flipped out. It was in the middle of a restaurant and she screamed at him at the top of her lungs. She said he couldn't leave her because she was pregnant with his child. At the time, David thought she was lying. She was the kind of woman who would fake a pregnancy. It was just her twisted way to keep him from leaving. He told her that he didn't love her and never wanted to see her again. And every time she tried to call afterward, he ignored it. Eventually, she stopped trying and he forgot about her. She became a faded memory. The last bad relationship in a string of bad relationships before he met Amara. But now that he saw Nick, and how much his face looked like a combination of David and Gia, he was absolutely filled with guilt. She'd been telling the truth the whole time. He'd been a deadbeat dad without even realizing it. And knowing Gia, she must have been a terrible mother. David instantly wrapped his son in a tight hug. He started crying. They both did.
"I'm so sorry. I never knew."
They spent the next hour talking. Nick told him about his life, which seemed to have turned out pretty okay. He never went to college, but he was making a good living as a restaurant manager. Plus, he played the guitar just like his father. David's guilt never went away, but it still felt good to know that his son had grown up right. And now that he knew Nick existed, he wanted the relationship to continue. He invited Nick to his birthday party. Nick gladly accepted, but because Amara still didn't know that he had a son, he asked if Nick could come to the party as his friend. Afterwards, he'd tell everyone the truth. Nick said he was okay with that, but David could tell that the request offended him. Still, he knew how much his wife cared about the party, and he couldn't ruin all her planning with some big family scandal. They left the country club together. David drove Nick to the vineyard on the beach where he was supposed to pick up wine. The place was off a winding road, right at the edge of a cliff. Nick said that he'd never been anywhere this fancy before. David grabbed the crate of bottles that his wife had already pre-ordered. When he brought them back to the car, Nick asked if they could open one of the bottles. "I'd love to have a real drink with my dad. We can drink together at the party. It won't be the same. At the party, we'll just be friends, remember? I want to give you a little birthday toast now while you're still treating me like a son." David could tell that Nick was upset about having to hide his identity. He didn't want to push his son away, so he uncorked a bottle and went back into the winery to borrow 2 glasses. While David was inside the winery, Nick quickly poured a small amount of wine from the bottle into a vial he carried, lacing it with a fast-acting sedative. When David returned with the glasses, Nick poured wine from the bottle into one glass for himself, and the spiked wine from the vial into David's glass. Then they stood on the cliff, father and son, watching the ocean and clinking glasses. "Happy birthday, Dad. I'm really happy you want me in your life." It was the perfect moment. David finally felt like a real parent, and as he drank, he changed his mind about hiding Nick's identity. Sure, there would be some commotion, but Nick deserved to be a real part of his life. He finished his glass and looked over at Nick, who had a devious smile on his face. He felt woozy, his eyes got heavy, and pretty soon, he passed out. Nick had spiked his drink when he was inside the winery. Nick's mother had trained him well. There was a dark streak inside him. He came here to get revenge on his father. He almost gave up on the plan when he realized how kind David was and how genuinely sorry he seemed. But when David asked him to pretend to be someone else, that was too much. He'd rather have a dead father than a father who was ashamed of him. He watched David writhe on the dirt, semi-conscious but unable to stand. Then he stuffed him in his car, turned on the engine, and watched it drive over the cliff and straight into the ocean. No one else saw. It was a perfect murder, except for one thing. The winery was far from town, and he had to walk for miles. He couldn't order an Uber, because he didn't want any proof that he'd ever been to the winery, just in case David's body was found before he got out of town. A few cars passed him, but no one stopped to help. During that time, Amara was in a total panic. David was hours late to his own party. He wasn't answering his phone. The lady at the winery said he'd already picked up the wine and left. Her house was full of people, all prepared to jump out at David and yell surprise. They got worried too. Once it was dark, she called the police. They searched the winery, but there were no traces of David. His car had sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and his body got tangled up in the rocks. The next day, the news reported that David had gone missing. It wasn't the top story, though. The top story was about a hit and run on the winding road leading into town. A young man walking alone had been killed. He had no identification, just a half-finished bottle of wine. I had just turned 25 and my life was not going according to plan. I was drowning in student loans and barely scraping by. Despite getting a degree from UCLA, I worked at a gas station. The only good thing in my life was Lawrence, my fiancé. He was a wonderful man, and I loved him very much. We were planning to get married in August. It was going to be a very small affair, just his family and a few of our friends. I grew up in a foster home, so I didn't have any family of my own. A couple months before the wedding, I was at the mall when I heard a familiar voice shout my name.
Mia? Oh my God!
I spun around to see my two friends from college. We were all in the same sorority, so we used to be really close. I hadn't talked to any of them since graduation, but I knew they all moved on to high-paying jobs and rich husbands. I didn't want them to know that I was just a cashier at a gas station. We sat together at the food court so we could catch up. They all ordered food, but I didn't get anything. I said I wasn't hungry, but the truth was, I couldn't afford it. They all told me how successful and happy they were, which made me feel even worse about myself. When it was my turn to tell them how my life was going, I lied to their faces. I said that I worked for a major publicity company, working with famous clients and brands. It was the job I'd always wanted, so the lies came easily out of my mouth. They all seemed really impressed. Then I told them about my upcoming wedding. I made it seem like it was going to be a grand affair, with a bunch of famous people on the guest list. I apologized for not inviting them, knowing that none of them lived in the area. I couldn't believe I was saying all this, but it felt nice to see the shocked looks on their faces. They congratulated me and promised that they'd stay in touch. I knew I wouldn't hear from them again. For a few weeks afterward, I sort of forgot about this whole conversation. I was busy with work, taking extra shifts to save up for our tiny wedding. Then one day, I came home to find Lawrence planning out the seating chart for our wedding dinner. I was shocked to see all my college friends' names on his list. I wanted to surprise you. I saved up a little extra money, so I was able to invite more of your friends. I instantly told him he couldn't invite them, but he said it was too late. He'd already sent out the invitations. Everyone had already RSVP'd. I didn't know what to do. If my old friends showed up, they'd see what a liar I was. Lawrence asked me what was wrong. I guess he could see the panic on my face. I couldn't tell him the truth, because then he'd know how embarrassed I was at our humble life together. I had to figure out a way to prevent them from coming. That night, I did something I never thought I'd do. I stole from the gas station. It was easy enough. I knew where the owner kept the combination to the safe, and I knew that the security cameras didn't work. I wore rubber gloves so that I wouldn't leave fingerprints and emptied out the entire thing. Thousands of dollars. With that money, I changed the venue to a private garden with a string quartet. I ordered custom floral arrangements, changed the cake, and got all sorts of decorations that looked fancier than they actually were. I also hired a handful of celebrity impersonators to pad out the guest list. When I told Lawrence about the changes, I made up a story about an inheritance from my dead aunt that I just found out about. He believed me, of course. I never lied to him before. On the day of the wedding, everyone was stunned. The celebrity impersonators did a great job. They were very believable, though I told Lawrence beforehand that they were just lookalikes I'd hired to make the day more special. My college friends had no idea. I was so happy that my plan was working. I had the wedding of my dream, and my old friends genuinely believed I was some highly successful businesswoman. Everything was perfect. As Lawrence's sister was helping me into my dress, there was a knock on the door. Lawrence walked in, keeping his eyes covered so he didn't see me in my wedding dress. "Mia, I need to ask you something." He said that my boss at the gas station had just discovered the missing money. I played dumb, telling him I had no idea what he was talking about. I knew this was bound to happen, so I'd already practiced exactly what to say. There's no way I'd get caught. "You're sure you had nothing to do with it? All the money for this wedding is from your aunt, right? Every cent." He seemed to believe me. He wished me luck and hurried out of the changing room. Yeah, I felt a little guilty for what I did, but it was all worth it. 20 minutes later, I was walking down the aisle. I looked amazing. Everyone was shocked at my gorgeous, expensive dress. A couple of the celebrity impersonators gasped as I walked past. They were really good actors. I made it to the altar and stood in front of Lawrence. He looked dashing. A simple wedding would have been great, but this was so much better. The priest said a few words and asked for our vows. I was crying as I said mine, vowing to always love him no matter what. Then it was his turn to say his vows, and his expression went blank. "Mia, I thought I knew you, but I can't marry a thief who would lie to my face. I'm sorry." He kissed me on the forehead and then ran off. Everyone in attendance went silent. Then the actor pretending to be Seth Rogen stood up. Does this mean we're not going to get paid?" I couldn't stand all the stares. My college friends looked at me with such horror and pity. It was the worst feeling of my life. I raced out there and found Lawrence in the parking lot, getting into his car.
Lawrence, wait!
"I know you stole that money. I was just going to ignore it, but when you said those vows, I couldn't. Goodbye, Mia. I hope you have a good life." I watched him drive off. He never exposed me. I never got arrested, and the gas station's insurance paid for all the stolen money. My friends still don't know what happened. At least I don't think so. They left before I could talk to them. What should have been the best day of my life became a complete train wreck. Lawrence is gone. I have nothing. I still work at the gas station, and my boss still trusts me. But I lost the one good thing in my life. I don't know what to do. It was late summer in Madison, Wisconsin. I lost my job at the warehouse a couple weeks back. Some bullshit about cutbacks. And my roommate kicked me out when I couldn't cover rent. No family to crash with. No savings. Just me, a backpack with a change of clothes, a toothbrush, and a half-empty water bottle. Homeless. The word tasted like dirt in my mouth. I figured the bike trail around Lake Mendota would be safer than downtown. You know, That loop where joggers and cyclists zip by during the day. But at night it's quiet, almost peaceful. I walked for what felt like miles, my sneakers rubbing blisters into my heels. The lake lapped softly against the shore, and the city lights flickered across the water like distant stars. I found a spot off the path, tucked behind some bushes near the water's edge. Not too hidden, but enough to feel like I wasn't on display. I unrolled my sleeping bag stolen from a garage sale years ago and crashed hard. Woke up sometime deep in the night. No alarm, no noise at first. Just this prickling on the back of my neck, like when you know someone's watching. My eyes cracked open just a sliver, and there he was, sideways in my vision, crouched low, maybe 8 feet away. A woman, I think, dark clothes, long hair, face shadow. Motionless, like a predator sizing up prey. My heart slammed against my ribs, but I played dead, keeping my breathing slow, eyes barely parted. What the f*** was this? Robbery? Worse? She shifted, inching closer. 1 foot, then the other, slow as molasses. I could smell her now, sweat and something sour, like cheap booze. My mind raced. No phone, no one around. If she jumped me, that was it. I thought about all the stories I heard from the men I knew, friends, exes, who talked about that gut-wrenching fear of being alone at night. The way every shadow could hide a threat. Hell, I brushed it off before, thinking it was a girl thing. But there I was, vulnerable as shit, heart pounding like a drum. She took another step, close enough I could hear her breath. I couldn't wait anymore. I let out a deliberate cough, rough and groggy, like I was stirring awake. Shifted a bit in my bag for good measure. She froze, then bolted, crunching leaves, fading footsteps. Gone. I sat up, scanning the dark adrenaline buzzing through me like electricity. The lake was still. I didn't sleep after that. Just sat there till dawn, gripping a rock like it was a weapon. I started carrying a knife the next day, picked up a cheap folder from a pawn shop with my last $20, slept with it under my pillow in shelters, or clutched it in my hand on the streets. For years. Even after I got back on my feet, a buddy hooked me up with construction work, then an apartment. It stayed in my pocket. Dating women after that. I listened when they talked about walking home alone, keys between fingers. I'd walk them to their cars, stay on the phone till they were safe inside, because I got it now. That fear, it doesn't discriminate. I'd come to Donegal, Ireland, chasing a fantasy. At 28, single and restless, I booked a week at a B&B, hoping to stumble into some fleeting romance with a foreign girl, maybe a French backpacker or an Indian artist. Someone with a lilt and a story. The place was a weathered stone house on the edge of town, with a shared bathroom on my floor. That morning, I shuffled down the hall in my boxers, desperate to pee. The bathroom door was ajar and I pushed it open. I froze. There, sprawled in the bathtub like a beached whale, was a man, red-faced, snoring, with a half-empty bottle of Jameson clutched against his chest. The soap dish lay shattered on the floor, the towel rack dangled from a single screw, and a puddle of what I hoped was water glistened near the toilet. The guy had clearly tried to take a leak, lost his balance, and turned the bathroom into a crime scene before passing out. Jesus, I muttered, stepping closer. He was big, maybe mid-40s, with a beard like a bramble patch and a stained sweater. I nudged his shoulder. Hey man, you okay? Where am I? He slurred. You're in a bathtub, buddy. Come on, let's get you up. He groaned, flailing like a toddler as I hooked my arms under his and heaved. The bottle clattered into the tub, and he staggered to his feet, leaning hard against me. He reeked of booze and sweat, but I managed to prop him against the sink, his eyes focused, then widened. You're a fucking saint, he roared, throwing his arms around me. Before I could dodge, he planted a wet, sloppy kiss on my cheek. Mi hero,
Save me from drowning in my own piss.
No problem, I said, peeling him off me.
What the hell happened here?
He swayed, grinning like a kid caught stealing cookies.
Had a few too many at McCaffrey's, didn't I? Tried to take a leak, slipped, and boom, bathtub. Tore the damn place apart trying to get out. Name's Seamus, by the way.
I'm Mike. You good now?
Good. I'm grand. You're my best mate now, Mike.
He slung an arm over my shoulder, nearly toppling us both.
Come to the pub tonight. Yeah, drinks on me.
I laughed, half out of nerves. Maybe, man. Let's just get you cleaned up first. I helped Seamus to his room, a tiny space with clothes strewn everywhere. He kept babbling about his ex-wife, his dog, and some fight over a dart game. I nodded, half listening, wondering how my quest for a sultry fling had landed me here, playing nursemaid to a drunken Irishman. Sadly, on the rest of my trip, I couldn't land a chick. The only action I got from a dude. Irish. This story is inspired from a real-life incident shared by one of our subscribers. This is what they said. At a B&B in Donegal, I walked into the shared bathroom one morning and found a man passed out in the tub, trousers at his ankles. With the soap dish and towel rack torn from the wall, he'd clearly toppled in mid-relief and given up. I woke him, helped him out, and he hugged me like I'd saved his life. And that's how I ended up embraced by a drunken Irishman with his pants down.